Most people are insecure most of the time. We often feel insecure in our communities, relationships, workplaces, families, and even within our own hearts. Where do you find security in a world of uncertainty? Hebrews chapter 6 speaks directly to that experience. This week, as we continue our study in Hebrews, we'll focus on chapter 6, verses 13 to 20. This stunning paragraph is jam-packed with gospel gold. And in a world of insecurity and uncertainty, these verses show us two certainties that can anchor our souls: the certainty of God's promise and the certainty of our hope. First, in verses 13 to 18, we see the certainty of God's promise. As you scan your eyes over those first few verses, you'll notice that the writer points us back to Abraham. God had promised him descendants, land, and blessing for the nations. But the fulfillment of those promises came in God's time, not Abraham's. He was 75 when God first called him. He was 86 when he tried to force the promise through Hagar. He was 99 when God gave him the sign of circumcision, and he was 100 when Isaac was born. It took years of waiting, but God's promise stood firm. And after Abraham's willingness to offer up Isaac, God not only promised but swore an oath. Usually people swear by someone greater than themselves, but there is no one greater than God. So he swore by himself. That means Abraham could be absolutely certain, and so can we. Hebrews says we have two unchangeable things: God's promise and God's oath, in which it is impossible for him to lie. That's our security. God is a promise maker and a promise keeper. Second, in verses 18 to 20, we see the certainty of our hope. Follow along from verse 18. We who have fled for refuge might have strong encouragement to hold fast to the hope set before us. We have this as a sure and steadfast anchor of the soul, a hope that enters into the inner place behind the curtain where Jesus has gone as a forerunner on our behalf. The writer says that we who have fled for refuge can have strong encouragement to hold fast to the hope set before us. That word refuge recalls the cities of refuge in the Old Testament, places where the guilty could run and be safe. They were good, but Jesus is better. He is the true refuge, even for those of us who know our sin is not accidental. If you flee to him, you are safe. And when you take refuge in him, you discover that your hope is like an anchor for the soul, sure and steadfast. Life's storms may batter you, circumstances may overwhelm you, but your hope is not tied to circumstances. It's tied to Christ. Your anchor doesn't drop into the sand. It's lodged behind the curtain in the very presence of God, where Jesus has gone as your forerunner, your great high priest forever. This is why our hope is sure and certain. It rests on Christ and his gospel. Christ has died. Christ is risen. Christ will come again. Where do you find security in a world full of uncertainty? Not in yourself, not in possessions, not even in other people, but in God, who promised and swore, in Jesus, who is your refuge and your anchor. And when we find refuge in Christ, we also become part of his city of refuge, communities of believers within towns and cities across the world, where people can find safety, security, and hope in Christ. Run to Jesus for refuge today. Anchor your soul to him. You'll never drift away.